So you're interested in losing stubborn belly fat. Maybe you're someone who has to lose 50 or 60 pounds, maybe even more. Maybe you're someone who has 20 or 30 pounds to lose, and you're wondering about how to deal with this, how to actually get rid of that fat that most people are struggling with, that most people want to get rid of, the fat that's in the midsection around the abs area, around the love handle area. And in this video, what I want to do is share with you a couple of things you need to know if you're going on this process to losing that stubborn fat. And this is a process. This is not an overnight thing, and you can't do something overnight that's just gonna fix it. Like, you're not gonna wake up the next day with abs, no matter what you do. So it is a process. It is going to take time, so we need to dive into this. So the first thing you need to know when it comes to that process of losing stubborn belly fat, and that most people get wrong, is that they severely underestimate how much body fat and weight they need to get rid of before they lose all that stubborn belly fat. And people will severely underestimate this. I know from personal experience, firsthand, working with so many clients. I work with more than 500 clients over the last 7+ years. And when we have their intake applications, we're looking over them, guys will say they're about 20% body fat. They can be up to 35%. It can be a huge difference. And there's a number of reasons for this. First off, most people don't really know how to properly estimate the body fat percentage, especially if you've never done anything like that. Now, the other thing is that most people have some scale at their home or some scale at the gym, which are massively inaccurate. Those bioimpedance analysis scales, they're really not accurate, and they can throw you off guard. And the problem with that is that you think you got 20 pounds to lose, while in reality you have 40 to lose. And that can be devastating for your motivation as you go through the process, and you realize you're only halfway there, and then you start losing motivation, you start losing patience. When in reality, if you knew what to expect in the beginning and you just simply accepted that goal, you know what it's going to be the truth, you could have lived with that. Now, the thing is that most people also, the fact that they think that they don't have a lot of weight to lose, they're not even that motivated initially. Oh, I can lose 10 pounds anytime I want. But what if you know that you have 50 or 60 to lose, and that you have a serious problem on your hands? You're going to be much more motivated to get rid of it. So don't underestimate how much fat there really is. Now, the second thing you need to know about this process of losing stubborn belly fat is that you can't choose where the fat is going to come from. This is a process. You can't just tell your body to lose the stomach fat or the face fat or the arm fat or whatever fat you want to get rid of. You have to follow the process, and the body you have will determine where that fat is going to come from. And it's probably going to come from all different areas. Typically, the areas that lean out first are the arms, the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, then the lower back. Face especially goes out first, depending again on your genetics, because your genetics will actually determine which areas you're going to lose from first. For most men, we have that our abs are with the last areas where typically fat is going to go from, especially the lower abs. Now, also, depending on your genetics, it could be that your last areas to go from would be your thighs and your glutes, which actually for a lot of guys is kind of like a good thing, because they get a leaner upper body sooner than most other people who might have more stubborn areas in their lower abs, and they do get rid of all the fat in their lower body. So it's kind of interesting how this can be different from person to person, but the process itself is the process. You have to follow the process. We can't pick. I know there's a lot of people that will claim they have some kind of solution, some kind of magic supplement or whatever to target specific fat areas. You can't do that. You have to follow the process, and you have to trust the process. You have to keep losing body fat, and eventually you will get that lean physique that you have. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit the like button below as well. It does help a ton with the algorithm. Also, if you like more videos like these, also consider subscribing below. It would definitely help you a lot on your fitness journey, so consider doing that. And now let's dive into the third thing you need to know. Now, the third thing you need to know about losing stubborn belly fat and keeping it off is that this ultimately has to be an overall long-term lifestyle change. This cannot be one of those diets that you just do for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and you go back to doing what you previously did. This cannot be one of those unsustainable fitness challenges that you do for 60 days every day and then you give up because it's unsustainable. This has to be a permanent change in your habits. You need something I call the forever plan, something that actually works for a longer period of time, that's sustainable and enjoyable for you, but it's also delivering results. Like with your nutrition, you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose the weight, but you also have to do that in an intelligent way. You can't be overly restricted and cut out everything pretty much that you enjoy, or cut your calories too low, because that's also unsustainable. So you need to find a really good sustainable way to stay in that calorie deficit, and also your diet has to be at least 80% whole, healthy, unprocessed foods. You have to look at all these factors, not just the diet, which is obviously one of the most important factors. You can't outrun a bad diet, but you also don't want to just focus on the diet. You also want to focus on training. What are you doing in the gym? Is there a component of progressive overload with your resistance training? How are you training your body to hold on to muscle or build muscle as you're losing weight, which will help you then keep the weight off? Also, how are your general activity levels? Are you completely sedentary outside of the gym and you're just doing those 3-4 workouts a week and you're completely sedentary for the rest of the time? That's also going to make things harder. How's your sleep? How's your stress? Like, all these factors actually matter. That's why I'm saying it has to be an overall lifestyle. It can't just be one of those things. You have to look at all the variables and start taking control. Start building awareness, start measuring things, start quantifying things. And that's what I do with my clients. And a lot of people think they have to give up everything in order to achieve results here. That's not true. Most of my clients are still having social events. They're still eating at those social events because most of what we celebrate these days is related to food. They're still having a couple of drinks. They're still doing things that they enjoy. And you're just being very deliberate with that. There's a right decision to make. If there's 10 menu items in a restaurant, there's probably 1 or 2 that are good for you. And there's also 8 that are completely off. So you have to understand what those good ones are and ultimately start changing your decisions instead of going on YOLO mode and just ignoring everything, because that's not what a lifestyle change looks like. Eventually though, as you keep doing this and as you implement, as you get results, you get lean, you reach your goal, and you start building these habits, they do internalize. And because you've reinvented yourself, now you're making decisions to actually hold on to the results. And it's much easier to do that long term once you've gained the results and the skill set along with the results. So I'm saying this has to be an overall lifestyle change because that's what I've seen is the only way to make this work. Like anything temporary, it just works temporary. You need something permanent and you need to come to the terms that it is a give and take. Temporarily, you do have to give effort, time, learning, give up a couple of things in order to get a lot of different things that will long term matter a lot more. And I think a lot of people just focus on the how much I need to give and sacrifice part, but they don't realize how much they're gaining from that. What's the value of being around for another 10 years? What's the value of being able to contribute value to the world? What's the value of being able to take care of your family? So when you actually compare the value of both goals and things that you're giving and things that you're getting, yeah, I mean, it actually makes a lot of sense to start making a little bit of a trade-off here in order to have that amazing epic lifestyle and that goal that you want to achieve long-term. And that's really what I want you to start thinking about. And that's how you can come to terms with really changing your lifestyle. Because if you put it in the right context, now it becomes a no-brainer for really doing this and for actually handling this area of your life. Now, another thing that's going to help you really get this handled is a video that I'm going to leave here at the end. So check out that video. Lots of tips and habits there to implement that will help you on your journey. Also, if you want to work with me as your mentor and as your coach, I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can check out more details about that. And I will see you in that next video.